2025. And that means there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in the world right now, especially right here in the Middle East. And once again, coming to you live from Israel, where there are many, many wild things afoot, namely in Gaza, between the Israelis and Hamas, and also with a former collaborator, as they call him, of Israel, somebody who was assisting Israel to fight the Hamas, Abu Shabab, apparently, reportedly has been shot and killed in Gaza. He was taken to Israel, to a hospital, to try to save his life. He was declared dead sometime after he was received there. And it turns out, even though the suspicion was that it was the initial suspicion of people who weren't there, obviously, of the initial reports were that he was killed by Hamas. Turns out he was actually shot because of some internal dispute. So some kind of local feudal issue between him and some other members of his organization, apparently. This should really come as no surprise to anyone who's watched any of my videos or knows anything about this situation in the region pretty well. Like, if you don't know about the situation well, you probably wouldn't know this, but Gaza is a very feudal place. They have feudal allegiances, tribal allegiances, call them what you will. People there are very tribal. And so families, clans, whatever you want to call them, control different territories within Gaza. And Abu Shabab's clan is no different. And, the vying for political power within his group, or for, power within his group, whatever you want to call it, is rife with violence. After all, his group is literally, yes, they were helping Israel fight Hamas, but they're literally a group of people who, not very long ago, had some other kind of ties that were definitely not pro-Israel. People will say, oh, it was a fake, there's this and that, there's no evidence of it, whatever. Okay, he still was a leader of a clan, or armed gang, if you want to call them that, in Gaza, and live by the sword, die by the sword kind of thing. Not a surprise that the leader of an armed gang is dead. It's, from Israel's security perspective, it's a bit unfortunate because he had been helpful in the last year or so that we know of to help fight against Hamas, and now he's been eliminated, apparently, by some of his own people in a gangland style internal dispute, as they call it. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that that particular group is now being reassessed by Israel's security forces in terms of, like, how reliable are they? How reliable will they be as a security partner of any kind to assist Israel to continue fighting Hamas or not? If fighting returns, obviously, to the area, like, in large and significant amounts. And yeah, it's not a great day in that sense, from the point of view of Israel's security agenda. Obviously, the Abu Shabab clan, who now mourn their dear leader, as it were. And on other fronts, Israel has bombed key targets of the Hezbollah, allegedly in Lebanon, due to what are perceived to be violations of the ceasefire that we have, or the truce that we have with Lebanon, specifically with Hezbollah. So when Israel sees Hezbollah violating the truce that we have with them, Israel often takes action to counter those violations, and that appears to be what this bombing was. Or it might have been that they simply targeted somebody who was, maybe on watch list, wanted list, something like that for past actions that Israel was still pursuing the person for, as happened recently. The news is still kind of fresh on that, so it's coming out. There have also been reports of RAF planes flying around the area in Israel and Lebanon, and I think yesterday over, was it Iran or Iraq, something like that. RAF surveillance planes, like typhoons, have been flying around the area, which is not an uncommon practice, at least as uncommon as you would think, because the RAF, just like the US, both surveil the area, the region. You know, when Israel does bombings over targets, even in Gaza, the US and the UK often surveil what's happening. They do that obviously for documentation reasons. Part of it, frankly, helps Israel to have legal cover, right? Like verifiable third-party sources who can say, yeah, we know in fact that these actions happened and they're not a violation of international law, etc. So we see that happening. We know it's happening. In addition to that, we know that Lebanon has been in talks over the past 24 hours with, I think it was even like 10, 12 hours ago, 24 hours ago, there was a discussion or an announcement that it would happen. Some people were upset about it. The government of Lebanon said we need to have discussions with Israel. So they had discussions with Israel in order to take steps towards ending the never-ending war that they have technically with us. Right? So we would like to see it come to an end, actually. And Lebanon is apparently, has had talks now with Israel to begin that process, or to take it to the next step, rather, since the process is already underway, since Israel has technically a truce with the Hezbollah and by de facto with Lebanon, since Israel effectively decimated Hezbollah at the end of 2024, a little more than a year ago, basically, or about a year ago, when we were mopping them up, so to speak, as much as possible. Sure, there's many of them still there, and there's rebuilding and rearming, but a significant number of Hezbollah terrorists were eliminated, or more precisely taken out of combat capacity. But obviously many were also eliminated in the actual ground invasion that Israel did in southern Lebanon last year. In addition to that, we see that in Iraq, there's been a reversal of the labeling of Hezbollah and the Houthis as terrorists because of pressure, since they are a Shia-dominated country, despite being an ally of the United States. They're succumbing to the pressures of the Shia population and legislators, and apparently have reversed that decision, at least for now. So they, once again, do not consider those very specific and proscribed terrorist organizations as such. One should not be surprised by this. As unfortunate as it is, we're talking about Iraq, not exactly a beacon of stability in the world. And it does have problems that are many that do relate to this whole situation here in the Middle East. On top of that, the situation in Yemen has reached a point where now northern Yemen and southern Yemen are at a kind of a new phase in their war. Hello there to whoever said hello in the chat. Hi there to you. Apparently, over a port in Oman, the flag of South Yemen has been raised, signaling that that country is possibly recognizing South Yemen as an independent country. It's called the Democratic People's Republic of Yemen. Whenever you hear that, it just means it's another dictatorship. You stick Democratic People's Republic of anything in front of anything, like a country name, and it is uh, pretty much a guarantee that it's not democratic, not governed by the people, and not a republic. See the Democratic People's Republic of Korea as example number one in your Google search for that fact check if you want. So the Houthis and the government of Yemen have now basically established two separate jurisdictions over the area that is Yemen in totality. I mean, this split has existed for a long time already, but it's just becoming more kind of permanent for now, or more status quo, one should say, which is not good for Yemen and not good for the region and not good for stability in the world that the country of Yemen is basically, you know, split into two and run in large part, especially the capital Sana'a, by a bunch of terrorists known as the Houthis. Like that is very bad for stability and peace. What are you going to do? That's the situation in Yemen, which continues to make take aim at Israel and to try to shoot rockets at Israel, ballistic missiles, not just rockets, not just like subsonic rockets or anything, but actual ballistic missiles provided to them by Iran and Russia through Iran sometimes, and they've even had some direct um, procurements directly from Russia over the years. Am I not the guy from Sahar TV? Hey man, yeah, I am in the Sahar TV Discord, and I do make videos, and you can check out my videos. I post the links to those things once in a while in there, and yeah, you can just check out. I mean, it's a separate YouTube channel that I have, but yeah, check it out on it's Zen Tap Talks, in case you're wondering. The other YouTube channel name. Go check out the Discord, the debates there in the Discord. I hope you enjoy it. Yes, I am definitely in Sahar's Discord. He's a great content creator. Obviously, has a lot of followers and subscribers, etc. Speaking of which, if you like my live streams and you like the information I'm providing you, why don't you go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel? I'd really appreciate it. Goes a long way to, help out the channel grow. Maybe one day I'll have enough subscribers to, I don't know what, to justify printing a sticker for it or something. Anyway, it's just fun for me to print these things, to post these videos and to share what I know with you guys about this topic and others. So, by all means, feel free to do that. I appreciate it. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and share and comment, all that good stuff. I do appreciate it. But yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for the question and letting me answer that. So yeah, at the moment, like I've been saying since the day the initial proposal of this so-called ceasefire was announced, I've been telling you that the ceasefires, both of the Hezbollah in Lebanon about a year ago, as well as the one with Hamas in Gaza, are really just very temporary and not, unfortunately, they're not likely to succeed. They're not likely to lead to a real peace for now, without, unfortunately, what looks like is going to be inevitably more fighting first. I really hope I'm wrong. Yeah, I really, really hope I'm wrong. Like, as a person in Israel, I can tell you, I don't know anybody in real life who's like, let's go to war. Let's make war. We want war. No, we see it as it's an unfortunate inevitability. And from that point of view, there are people who are like, let's get this done faster. The sooner the better. Then there are people who are saying, no, let's be patient. Let's let this play out, see how it's going. Israel has the upper hand still. We've got time. When the people were saying, well, the longer we wait, the worse it's going to be. So let's get it over with. So it's a very dicey situation. The tension is really right on the surface. There's no point in pretending like everything is hunky-dory, because it isn't. We're still technically in a state of war, And the ceasefire is really a joke. It's been violated so many times. It's practically every day, almost like clockwork. They violate the ceasefire. Hamas usually shoots something or shoots at someone. Just yesterday, in fact, um, Hamas shot at and injured 4 Israeli soldiers, and then Israel retaliated once again. We bombed, or Israel bombed. We bombed um, Rafah, at various targets in Rafah, and then the ceasefire once again went into effect. So it's like kind of a joke, that we have this so-called ceasefire, and then every day that it's broken, yeah, um, it's re-established, as if it's like to keep Donald happy. Now the ridiculous thing is that at the same time as all these violations are happening, and yesterday a body was handed over to Israel by Hamas through the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, etc. Apparently that body was not one of the remaining 2 hostages in Gaza, or at least it hasn't been confirmed yet, but all indications are that it's not the one remaining Israeli body that we were expecting to receive, nor is it the body of the Thai agricultural worker. So as far as we know, we still have 2 hostages that are dead in Gaza that Israel is waiting to receive. And that means that we are still not out of the woods. So we're not yet even at phase 2 yet, when the Hamas is supposed to hand over their weapons and guns and remove from power, which they should have done, by the way, during phase 1. There's really no reason for them not to have done that, but whatever. They haven't done it yet. And meanwhile, Trump keeps saying, oh yeah, phase 2 is rapidly approaching and we're moving along swimmingly, and the last discussions we had with Hamas are going well and everything's hunky-dory, basically, to put it in different words than he actually said it. But that's, kind of the gist of his message, is that, yeah, we just need more time and this is going to be fun. Again, there are people who believe that. There are people who think, no, this is not how this is going to work. I understand Kushner and Witkoff are very interested in seeing a deal. They also, let's be honest, would like to do more deals in the Gulf, like business deals in the Gulf. I'm sure Trump would also like that. Being in the Middle East, I can tell you, compromising and giving them leeway and giving them slack and letting them continue to violate the ceasefire in Gaza is not going to lead to any. Hezbollah is hugely in Venezuela. They're all over South America. They run the largest network of stolen cars that they resell as used cars in South America. Fun fact that you didn't know that. They actually make an enormous amount of money from that, which is why even if the EU or the UN cuts off funding to them, effectively they don't really care. Like they do care, but they still will have a lot of money coming in every year. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it because I've got a million things I got to do now. But I wish you well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Peace. Shalom from Israel.